We're back. Carter, the Power Bryant. I see that you did not take my advice and go with the picture that I told you to go with.
I was going to switch it. I forgot. I was going to switch it. Here's the thing I want to know is actually, I'm going to put this hat on for the segment today. Look at this one. Putting this on for the whole time.
Okay. I like it. I'll roll with it.
No, I want to know who sings the J&J Exterminating there at the end.
Oh, I 1,000% do.
Yeah, it's like, I could see
our great friends over J&J Exterminating. Yeah. But yes, I literally, I have to mute the audio on myself around here because if you listen to the audio podcast, because we can't separate it like that, I am like, I had a listener 2 weeks ago and like, bro, Blake, you were singing in that J&J commercial, weren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, I guess. So I got to be careful of muting myself, make sure that I'm not on a hot mic.
Right. I know you posted, hey, does anybody need a commercial singer, Louis Armstrong style? And J&J was like, yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for.
And the good thing about marketing, man, is if when you have a jingle or you have a thing, people get – well, like I've had people in this industry, people that I respect told me to change AYS.
No, AYS, baby.
No, it's a brand now.
Yeah, man.
It's like Folgers coffee. Once you have it once, it's always going to be there and consistent.
No, I'm telling you, and you're it's great. I do want to bring up that everybody that I talked to today in Mobile, Alabama, won't quit talking about Mason Taylor.
Had a big day. So I was gonna go there with you later, but we can. Yeah. We're gonna skip the whole Saints segment. We'll do that at the end if we have time.
Yeah.
But Mason Taylor had a big day in the Senior Bowl. But man, I was just talking about this earlier. The 3 linemen that were there got worked. Emory Jones included.
Yeah, they had it was tough, and in particular in those you and I were talking about it privately, those one-on-one pass rush reps. Now, where I will defend them is Blake. There are so many good defensive linemen in this class, so this is a stronger than usual defensive line crop. But yeah, I mean, I had a few people at the Senior Bowl texting me, hey, well, what's up with these guys? Why are they struggling so much? But it is just day one-on-ones, whatever. But Mason Taylor, on the positive side of things, it's not really a shock to anyone that watched him become a day one starter at an extremely complex position and never relinquish it, and was extremely durable, really only missed one game. And I'm excited. I'm super excited about his pro career. So there you go.
So look, we have some breaking news here.
Oh.
Big move just made by Brian Kelly. Lance Guidry, the former last year's Miami defensive coordinator, is going to be on his staff as a defensive assistant, staff member, analyst. This is good. This is a big move. Lance was somebody that's from the state, knows the state, and I think is a massive addition. I've been hinting at this very honestly the last couple of weeks. I think LSU would bring in big-time assistants, kind of like the Saban thing, or big-time analysts like how Saban used to do. They just made that move because now this guy can be on the field coaching. So that this is big. I don't want to put you on the spot. We're really doing this, but I know a lot about Lance. I mean, look, their defense was really bad this year, particularly in the secondary. But adding a guy from an analyst role in that position, I think is a massive hire and bringing in Lance Guidry.
Yeah, so his name was floated around for defensive coordinator at LSU a few years ago. That's not
literally last year when you were hiring Blake Baker.
Yeah, and even kind of sort of like before that, there was a lot of people that liked him. Louisiana native, obviously, spent time in Miami. So, look, obviously, this wasn't a good Hurricanes group, but I will say before that, he was lights out. I believe if I'm not mistaken, he spent some time at McNeese, right?
He did. He did spend some time in McNeese, was the DC there as well. I mean, he's been in Louisiana. He's been in college football all over the place. Quite frankly, he can come in here and help Jake Olson at safety.
Yeah.
If we're being frank, he's probably going to come in there and be the back end DC. I'm just going to be real. I'm going to be real with you. You're not making this move if you're Brian Kelly just because. It's because you're going to want him at some point to start taking over, or if you have some situation where you got to go to a DC and a guy that's called plays, you're going to go to Lance Guidry. It's a Saban move, man. I've been hinting at it for 2 weeks. I mean, I'm not trying to, go to any show. But look, here's the thing with Lance that I want to make very well known. They struggled this year in the secondary. They were so bad at giving up explosive plays, and quite frankly, a lot of that has got to do with personnel, but a lot of that also has to do with is that he was very stubborn. So if he ever is the DC, we have to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, and when you look at the LSU defensive coordinator or just the LSU defensive room, there wasn't a whole lot of play calling experience in that room. And, you replace Bob Diaco with someone that's very experienced. So I like the move. And I was one of those people. You can go back and look at my channel. I was interested in Gidry potentially as the DC for LSU.
Lance was at Southeastern.
Right. So I'm pumped. I'm excited to see what this can do for the defense. And it just adds another mind to the operation.
Well, look, here's what I know about Lance right now, okay? And what easily is something that we can discuss on. When he was at Marshall, when he was at Miami, when he was at other positions, okay, he has been a DB guy. Like at Southeastern, he was a DC, okay, but he coached safeties. At Florida Atlantic, he coached safeties. Basically, what you're saying right now is, and let's just call it what it is, you're bringing in an analyst to help coach safeties. It's for that position group that we have talked about so much that has been struggling with Sage Ryan, Major Burns, Jordan Gilbert. Quite frankly, Carter, I don't know what kind of money that you're going to pay Lance Guidry, but quite frankly, it's not going to be enough because this guy has been at McNeese since 1994 as a GA. He's been all over the Southland Conference. He's been at safety. Quite frankly, if we're going to call it what it is, the best safety that you've had the last, now going into 3 years, probably and arguably was Andre Sam, if we're just going to call it like we see it, outside of Jay Ward and Greg Brooks. But I'm talking about the 2 bad seasons that you just had.
No,
that's the guy that he developed that got to Marshall. So I'm not saying that Jake Olson is not going to be the position coach at safety. Lance Guidry is going to be in that room, and he is definitely going to be hired to be a part of LSU's safety room.
Yeah, and Blake, it needs to be coached up as well because unless some kind of miracle happens here, that's still going to be a big position that needs help in many ways. So I'm pumped up about it. Obviously, you look at LSU's room right now. Who do you want the starting safeties to be next year, Mr. Ruffino?
The one that can make tackles in the open field.
Yeah. And
I don't care if a newborn infant runs out there and drop kicks somebody. I could care 2 Rudy Poos who it is. It could be a walk-on for all I give 2 Rudy Poos. I have no interest. Who's going to make an open field tackle? That's what I care about. Because quite frankly, I'm going to keep talking about it as much as I can. That position group has been soft. It's been soft for a couple of years now. You got to come up and light somebody up. I get frustrated because it's simple. It's simple football. Now, right. I don't know what Tamarcus Cooley does or does not give you. I don't know if he's that guy. Look, I saw the 8 games. I've seen his stuff. I don't know if that's how this league is. Like the ACC and the SEC are 2 completely different styles of what you want to get into. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. But somebody's got to come in that role and start lighting some dudes up and striking the fear of God in somebody. Let's call it what it is. When LSU played South Carolina in week 3, their receivers got scared to run over the middle. I don't give 2 Rudy Poos when anybody tells me. Kyron, they did not want the ball to be thrown until they were outside the hashes. That is a fact. So quite honestly, what did South Carolina do? We're going to get headhunters. We're going to get guys that borderline you don't know if they don't have warrants out for misdemeanors because they're out there just absolutely demolishing human beings.
Get the chalk outline out. Get the caution tape out, baby.
Where's that mentality?
Oh, it's gone.
Go out and get a misdemeanor. You know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah,
I'm talking about some unhinged people. Brother, the best player I ever played with, a lot of you know who he is. My man could go unhinged if he needed to. You got to have that edge to you.
I'm with you. And on top of that, LSU had the worst safety room in the SEC.
Without a doubt.
And the worst safety room maybe ever at LSU. So bring in whoever that can help coach up that room or play in that room. And look, I'm with you on the TaMarcus Cooley thing, Blake. I don't – if you got to actually sit and watch the guy he was more of a nickel corner. Now, that doesn't mean he can't play safety. It's not it at all. It's just a different thing, right? So we'll see what happens. And DB is a numbers game. It simply is a numbers game. Like the biggest game of the season, Buffalo just ran out of DBs. Their best ones kept getting hurt. So it's not just who your first team guy is going to be. It's who your backups are going to be. So it is still a big worry going into next season, and hopefully it gets fixed.
I think that you're going to like Lance a lot. Here's the thing, though. You have I don't know if Lance comes in and helps mold Jake Olson and help him along or anything, or if Jake even wants that kind of help. But, man, there is not anything that Lance Guidry has not seen. The problem, and I like Lance, and he had family members that came after me on the Ruffino and Joe show this past year for just speaking the truth on Miami. They were number one in the country in allowing explosive plays. The safety room did not know where they needed to go at any given moment. And that does worry me. So I think Lance is a really good coach. I've been around him. I've seen it. I think he's a great coach. I do. But the last year does not fit the sum of the parts of what we've seen him do. It just doesn't. He's been great a lot of places that he's been. The only thing that I'm worried about here is the last time I saw you, the room that you're known for got absolutely abused.
Yeah, and there are a lot of Miami fans that I know that feel it's a little bit more of a watered down kind of feel, the same way we feel about 2013 or 2023 LSU, right? Miami had this ridiculously good offense. Cam Ward's a good chance to be the number one overall pick. And they had Restrepo get drafted, Arroyo get drafted, freaking Martinez out of the backfield. Had this supersonic offense, and the defense let him down. So it's going to be interesting how big of a role he's going to have. But, like, I do think they needed someone else in there that's call plays. I do think that is something. That doesn't mean the coaches in there aren't great, but it is good to have somebody who's actually been between the headsets calling the shots.
It's going to be an interesting position. Back to the offensive line very quickly because we got interrupted by this Lance Guidry thing.
Now let's go.
Carter, I have no idea how to ask this question, but
bring it.
We thought going into last season that LSU could have arguably the best offensive line in the country. That did not come to pass. Why do I think that now that we are going to put so much stress on it that this unit's going to be better at running the football than last year's?
Because running the football has as much to do with play calling and sequencing as it does physicality and talent. Now, of course, you need dudes out there that can move people around. But, like, as you know, I have a really big NFL channel now, and most of my NFL channel is just Kansas City Chiefs film studies. And they have a left guard playing left tackle. They have a bunch of guys that really aren't, quite frankly, all that good. It's Andy Reid sequencing. It's his scouting. It's what he shows you one play and does the next. Now, obviously, no one's asking, Sloan to be that. But if you go down to even the next level, you see that it's basically the same thing. The best offensive coordinators, the best run game guys are the guys that sequence their run plays. Blake, Tennessee had
first play from the Philadelphia Eagles was a fake fullback toss.
Right.
Fake fullback dive, toss to Saquon. Who in their right mind thought on the first play that they were giving the ball the fullback to football? Who?
It's insane. It's insane. And that's a case,
more, baby.
And that's a case where Philly actually does have like an all-time great offensive line right now, but that's play calling and talent mixing together. But, let's take Tennessee, for instance, who had the best running back in the SEC this year. Both their offensive tackles were like abysmally great, at one of which, of course, was Lance Hurd. But they still had this ridiculous rushing attack because they know how to sequence it. They know how to get numbers in the run game. And Blake, some of that's on the running back. Obviously, as you've attested to, there were some misreads. And that'll get better with obviously Caden Durham going into year 2. Mm-hmm. But Sloan's got to be better. I mean, it's just that simple. He's got to be better going into year 2. And one of our mutual subscribers, Blanche, said he still believes in him, and I'm still going to believe in him as well. So hopefully we'll see this rushing attack get better.
Yeah, another thing about that running back position, I'm really intrigued to see Harlem Barry. Really, somebody that I know, a source that I know. They don't know if he's not the best route runner on the team.
I mean, so what does that tell you?
When they told me that was, is he a running back then? And they said yes. And I'm like, bullshit, he is. I mean, maybe you Gibbs him. I don't know. He's still 185 pounds. He might be 190 when you go into the season. I mean, you're not asking him to be a bell cow. I don't think that you have a bell cow. Okay, but I do think that you could Steve Sarkisian this thing. And what do I mean? Brother, they just had outright speed. And You know what he did? It is flawless. If you're going to give me 3, like if I'm going to go trips left and you're going to give me 3 defenders and I'm going to go trips left, I'm literally going to throw a bubble screen at you and then get 6 yards. If that's the worst thing that's going to happen to me, then by God, I'm going to be 2nd and 4, and I'm going to line it up and run it again. It's how they beat Ohio State. So even if you can't, I brought this up with Harlem Barry too. Go trips right, literally have him in the backfield, throw him a screen and say, hit the edge, bud. If you get 5 yards, guess what? I don't give 2 Rudy Poos how you did it. You know what else you do? The offensive line gets a playoff, essentially. There's the sky's the limit for this offense if they do it right.
Yeah. But Harlem Barry's 7-on-7 receiver stuff is just like so good. Like it's, and I do not think running back is his best position. I think you, like you said, a bell cow running back, sure. But as a slot, I mean, the dude would be freaking ridiculous. Or what you could do, I'm glad you brought up Texas. When I've watched him, how Texas utilized Jaden Blue this year.
Oh, God.
And Harlem Barry's better than him. Use him the same way. Use him as a quasi-receiver, right? Texas obviously basically set records with throwing to the running back out of the backfield, and was a big reason why they were able to stay in the game versus Ohio State. So I like Harlem Barry a lot, but like one of the biggest indicators of running back success in the SEC is weight. It's just simple physics, right? If the biggest, fastest, strongest guys in the SEC play in the SEC, well, the biggest, fastest, strongest running backs are the ones that are going to succeed, right? So it is going to be a gap, obviously, in his actual frame, but I do think he'll be a year 1 contributor.
What did Reggie play at? Like 205?
Reggie Bush.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess somewhere around. I'd have to go look it up. I believe he was over 200.
Hold on. We're going to find that out right now.
Since
since everybody's going to
Oh, everybody compares Harlem Barry to Reggie Bush. And
6'2", 203.
Okay.
I mean, if you hit a hole lightning fast, I mean, shit, it can be done. It's just, and look, Steve Sarkisian knew that he was going into the game and that they could not run the football. Carter, they ran 23 screen-worthy plays, quick throw plays. I mean, it was literally they just, hey, man, if you're going to give us 7 yards, by God, we're going to take it. And we're going to keep nickel and diming you. And they just did not have the quarterback at the end.
But do you think Harlem Barry, like Carvis points out, do you think Harlem Barry can be like a Jahmyr Gibbs or someone like that?
No, I think Jahmyr Gibbs can actually run in between the tackles. I don't even think that Darren Sproles is accurate. I think it's a different combination. I think that he's Joe McKnight-ish or Reggie Bush-ish.
I like that.
You know, like I think that that's where the mold comes into. What is he, 5'10", 175 pounds? So, I mean, do you get 10 pounds on him? Do you get – really and truthfully, you need to get 20 pounds on him. Let's just call it what it is, okay? Even if you get 10 pounds on him, he's 185, 190 pounds. Carter, he's legitimately a 4'3" guy. And I don't know – like, everybody comes to me and says, well, Blake, he can't be in there. You know that – they're going to know that it's going to be in passing play. No, they don't. You can still run him. You can still run him with the football. Get into the outside. Well, the biggest argument that I keep hearing, too, about this running back situation from Brian Kelly, well, they're learning on pass protection. Big dog. He's not in there for that.
and another thing,
Blake, he's not.
Yeah,
bro,
it's
if he is in there for pass like blitz pickups, fire everybody on the spot. Get him on a flare route at minimum and throw him the football.
Yeah, I mean, our pass protection from our running backs was very inconsistent last year.
Oh, it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. So, how much are you really losing if he does have to pass protect anyway? But do I see a world where like he hits this unbelievably lightweight and is still ridiculously good? Yeah, because I really do think he's that special with the football in his hands. It's just going to be really hard, man. It's going to be very, very, very hard. Pause. So we'll see.
So we're about the spring game was announced today. The date, April 11th or 17th, whatever it was.
12th.
So we're probably about, quite frankly, a month away from spring football starting. Mm-hmm. I ask you this all the time, but I'm just going to rephrase the question. What is the most intriguing thing for LSU football going into spring for you?
Ooh. For me, Blake, is who's going to emerge as a tight end? Who is that guy going to be?
You don't even have a tight ends coach right now. I don't think they know who's going to emerge at tight end.
And that was going to be my next thing is who's going to emerge at the position where there's not a specific coach. And you bring in one guy who just played a lot of SEC snaps, Bauer Sharp. And then you bring in Donovan Green, who I like a little bit more than most. How do you feel about him?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think
he can be good. He has this is what I feel about the entire tight end room. They have an extremely high ceiling and an extremely low floor.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could get ugly if none of them could come in and block. So yeah, that to me is just going to be so big. And then obviously defensively, the secondary is where my main focus is. I think the front seven will sort itself out and be a good SEC front seven, but obviously the secondary. So we'll see how that goes. Who's going to emerge?
So we've talked about tight ends coach tonight, and I think it's ironic you went there. First off, Trey'Dez Green, my God. Did you see the Saturday clip?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see him blocking the three and going down the court, and yes, you did.
Oh, yes. Okay, I was just so football minded. Yeah, breakaway dunk. Let's go. In what's
name more athletic? Name them. See, this is the problem that I have with tight end right now. Okay, the problem that I have at tight end is I think that he is the most gifted tight end, arguably in the entire country. I don't think there's anybody with more athleticism than him. Carter, what, a 40 plus, had to be at minimum at least a 40 plus inch vert, gets up, swats the ball, goes down there full LeBron James in the mirror, but lefty, yays it. And I'm not talking about Kanye or the Yeezys. Yay! I mean, with force, put that thing down. Brother, it's got a massive, and by the way, Donovan Green, I don't think people remember this, in 2022, literally with a guy standing up that was 5'9", 5'10", literally hurdled the dude while he was standing up, forthright. Then he gets hurt. Then Bauer Sharp, we've seen the speed, an extremely high ceiling. But, man, this thing can turn bad. But here's the thing, too. This is why that position coach, to me, is such a big deal. Because where does LSU attack you from? Are you going to keep a safety back? Because if you keep a safety back and Chris Hilton is healthy, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. Everybody played too high on you all year. You know why? Because you couldn't line up and run the football. Carter, if you were 50th in the country in rushing offense, you would be in the playoff. You would have dominated Florida. You wouldn't have lost to either USC. You probably could have survived A&M. But, for crying out loud, teams went too high safety and dominated your ass, and that was the main problem. But you have weapons galore. You got more toys than Linda's Toy Box.
Than KB. Than Toys R Us.
You got more toys than Amazon. No, you know what? You got more toys than Santa Claus.
Yeah. But I'm with, in particular, the USC game. And that's what concerns me, right? What is going to be your rush play? What's going to be your bread and butter? And to me, if Joe Sloan was sitting right here, I would love to see LSU become a more duo-based team. I would like to see more of that. Now, if I was an OC, I would base everything on an outside zone. I just don't know if that's a good fit for us because we don't play under center. Let me ask you this: if Joe Sloan asked you, "Hey, Blake, would you like to see some offense being run from under center?" Would you say yes or no?
Here's two folds of that. Then what were you wasting my entire spring from last year and fall when I would go out to practice and you're in 12 personnel under center?
Why didn't we see it? Why didn't you try?
I don't know. You tell me. And nobody's going to ask that question because nobody remembers. Nobody remembers that the LSU would go Carter. We would start off a team period, 12 personnel. And we'd literally be under center and we'd hand the football off. So those massive runs by Caleb Jackson were coming on legitimate 34 dives. The 3 is the running back, 2 would be your fullback, 1 would be an H-back type of situation. So, or 1 would be quarterback, 4 would be your H-back. So basically they're running 34 power or 34 zone, whatever one it was. Brother, he broke off 3 80-yard runs in team periods from 12 personnel under center. We didn't see it once during the year. So you're going to have to now explain to me why in the hell you wasted my time.
Yeah, I never understood it. I can understand.
They did it in the spring game a year ago, and the long run that Caleb Jackson had was literally from under center.
Yeah, I remember the long run. I got to go back and
go back and look at it.
And look, I understand. I've become a lot more pro focused, but
the game has become more pro focused.
I just love being under center, especially if I have a quarterback who's not mobile. Just because it just increases the amount of things I can do defensively. I just love being under center. I just do. I just.
What did Ohio State do in their running game in the national championship? What play did they keep calling over and over and over again?
No, you tell me.
Counter, under center. Fake handout right. He'd come back, hand it off left. And they attacked the edge from Notre Dame. They didn't even pull a guard. They were so hell-bent that they could just line up and catch blocks and dominate that they literally go – it was the first play from scrimmage, and the Juck and 70-yard run literally is a counter run. It's a misdirection run. Under center. Chip Kelly is one of the better offensive coordinators the game has ever seen. What do we really think that we know more about football offensively than him?
Yeah, and one thing I wish we could get vertical on a cutback. We struggle with that. And look, so much of this is having better center play, and they will with Braylon Moore. And I'm excited to see the evolution, hopefully, of this LSU running game, because yeah, you lose Josh Williams, who was good for you last year, but it's got to be better. It's just got to be better.
You do not want to play me in college football 25. You will think I'm the old head.
You getting under center? You playing some smash?
Am I getting under center? Brother, I'm going strong eye right, Y motion, and I am going 34 power. And you're going to take that shit all night long. That's what she said, but you're going to take that shit all night long. I am going to run it down your throat. Again, I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. Name me a national champion that had a team that was outside the top 20 defensively. Name me one that couldn't run the football. Name me one. Name me the teams that got in the playoff and got their asses whooped or got upset. What was their biggest problem? I'm going to keep saying it because it's all coming back to normalized football. It always has and it always will be. Georgia got beat up front because they could not run the football. They had struggles this year because they couldn't line up against Alabama, of all teams, and run the football. Carter, Oklahoma waxed the ever-living cheeks out of Alabama by quarterback power.
That's all they did. That's all they basically did, yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, it's not – I made this analogy before I get you out of here. I am not clamoring for Les Miles when I say this. The formula's not broken. The formula leads to national titles. Everybody and their mama got enamored with the game's moving to quarterbacks and it's moving to this. Yes, that is true. You can do that. But for the normal individualized person, if you don't have this dude or you don't have Jaden or you don't have somebody special like that, history teaches us Will Howard, Stetson Bennett, and J.J. McCarthy. Oh, he was a first-round pick. J.J. McCarthy did nothing special at Michigan last year.
He completed like 4 passes in the Natty or something like that. It was a small amount. Yeah.
My point exactly.
No.
It is literally taking over college football, and nobody wants to talk about it. People think that I'm crazy. I know I'm not crazy. Well,
no, you're crazy. Just move on with your point. No,
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, well, you're not crazy about this, but you're crazy in general.
Fugsy, no. Yeah. Fugsy, no, I'm not. You better line up and run that rock. And that's I get obliterated in the comments when I start doing this. Obliterated. People hate it. It's a fact. Name me one. Debate me about it then.
Yeah.
Bring me on a Twitter Spaces and debate me about it.
Hey, I'm all about bringing in a fullback. Put Gabriel Relaford back there.
Hey, you know what I would do? I
mean, he is ridiculous.
And to God, you know what I do in these short yard situations? I'm asking Jack Pyburn what's up.
Yeah.
Jack Pyburn, I think, has killed a man. I mean, he will kill a man. That dude is head first.
He is a Florida man, so it's possible.
Carter the Power Bryant, always fantastic. Thank you, buddy.
All right, buddy. Cheers.
That is.